So similar positions to the StarLife game we observed, and from the sounds of it, it's going to be a similar opening as well. So we can basically directly compare the difference between the two, see what this user did wrong.
Is Orb's name because it makes like one of those faces and stuff?
Is it a face? I don't see
Well,
it.
like the O would be like the head, and R would be like the with the arm, and the B would be like 2 feet or 2 legs. Is it like that?
I think you cracked that case wide open. I don't know, man. I don't see that at all, but I guess maybe.
I thought it was. I thought it was.
Here, I'm gonna type something on the chat, see if you can see what this face is.
Oh wow, that looks like a guy like being so desperate, like being in the corner. You know, like, oh,
Well,
never
he is
mind.
desperate.
Oh, I see it now. I see it now.
There's a big article on CNN where some company, and I think it was in Britain, paid quite a bit of money to get a logo designed, and they came up with basically just that. And now, like, someone basically took the image of the logo, rotated it 90 degrees, and it's like a huge joke.
Oh wow.
Anyway, well, this guy's asking for help, and we're discussing dirty pictures here.
So far he is doing exactly what I would be doing, and so far his timings and builds are very on time.
But he didn't put his core by the ramp, so I mean that's minus style points.
Yeah, but what can you do?
Yeah, I know, but still. I mean, you could put your core by the ramp, that would probably solve it. Is it... How come Protoss and Terran players scout backwards? Like, why don't they scout 12 first? Or, like, the close position first?
Oh, because if you find that the Terran is in a vertical position, then you should try to do a different build than as opposed to like other positions, because if the Terran is in vertical position, then it's so close, and if he timing pushes you, or like even 2 factory push you, then you're really gonna get screwed. And also, I wanna point out that this guy's Orb's build is a little bit off, because he wanted to do really a fast Dragoon push, but I think this is a little bit off. He should be building a gateway, pylon, gateway, core, and then a gateway by cutting your probe. But instead, in this replay, he did a pylon, gateway, core, pylon, and then gateway. So that pylon in the middle should not be there.
Yeah, and we see, I think he... Sorry, go on.
He should be cutting the probe at about 13 over 18, I think. And he should make the gateway, and then make a probe, and then make a pylon.
And should he be getting range that quickly? I mean, he got a Dragoon out and then started range by cutting Dragoons. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, this is kind of the right build for a early Dragoon push, but I would not recommend it on a map like Python, but I would definitely recommend it on a map like Talcross or Longinus, where it's like just flat ground. Yes, the 2 gate before pylon. But this guy made pylon and then the second gate, so it's just a little bit off. Did he scout the 2-fact?
Yeah, he did with the probe.
Oh, if you scout the 2-fact, then I would just get 8 dragoons first while getting an observer. And I wouldn't be like at his base like this because he could be going for a starport and a drop and vulture drop you, or and if he does go for 2-fact fast vultures, then he'll just run through with the vultures, so it'll be really hard to regroup your dragoons, because if you pull back then there will be mines and your dragoons will just die. A good example is like, I think a good example is Boxer versus Anytime, where Boxer made the second factory elsewhere and then mined the middle of the map, so that when Anytime pulled back with the dragoons, he died because of the mine.
So do you think it was the right play to pull back all the way into his ramp to defend this?
I would try to block it on the downside of it at my nat, but because as you can see, you can just be blocked like this, and if Terran makes siege tanks, then you're pretty much screwed. So I would try to block it at the nat and not at the ramp. And if you want to block at the ramp, then you should be like at the bottom of the ramp, not at the top. This is given that you are going like 2 or 3 gateways. If you are going like 1 gateway, then I would definitely be at the top of the ramp.
Yeah, what do you think about him adding a third gateway after seeing 2 factory? That seemed a little strange to me, but again, I'm not a Protoss player.
This is just really hard for your eco, because first off, you went very early 2 gateways, and that is already cutting probes, so you're kind of behind in eco. And since you don't have many resources, if you're going 3 gates from 1 base, then it's pretty much all in. And I would definitely not recommend this, unless you want to go all in.
I don't think you should be giving out advice like that. Yeah, just go all in every game. Do you think he should have moved in here?
And also a very good tip versus 2 factory is add 1 zealot to your army, and that 1 zealot will distract the vultures or tanks while your goons target each tank, and that just helps your micro a lot better.
He hasn't even started his natural, and Terran has completed his natural. I mean, is there really anything after this opening that he can do to get back in the game? I mean, even if he double expands, he's probably going to be behind. He's got this great army, but like he can't really even do anything with it. I mean, say I put you into the game right now. Like, what would be your immediate actions that you would take to try to get back in this?
I would definitely stop making dragoons, because at this point in time, Terran isn't gonna push out anytime soon. So just stop dragoon production and just add more gateways, or tech to Dark Templars or High Templars, or even better, you can just do carrier or just any tech build, so that you're putting your resources into better use instead of making goons when the Terran is not coming out at all.
Jared, I completely missed the question because I was too busy looking at you talking about Terrans getting Storm. What was it? Protoss get Storm instead of Speed and Dragoons? A simple yes/no would be acceptable. Okay, so the question is...
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
If you think you're a little bit behind, going to a Templar archive is always a good choice, because if you have Dark Templars, then it always forces the Terrans to go Academy, and that always delays the Terran push timing.
So Jared's question was delaying Dragoon production and delaying actually Zealot legs and going Storm instead. So kind of having a smaller army with a more of a focus on High Templar. Have you ever done a build like this, and kind of what situation would you do it in?
I've seen a recent game. It was Pure versus the Berserker on Pro League, and I'm not sure what the map was, but it was a very good good game, and he focused a lot on High Templars, and in order for that to succeed, the Terran has to be a little bit stupid and clump the tanks together. But other than that, I would try to go for mass instead of trying to be sexy and go for High Templars.
Did you see that YouTube video someone posted of those storms? I forget who it was. I think it was Jangbi maybe against Nada. And there was like epileptic storms or whatever. It was like ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Okay, so what do you think about letting these vultures slip by?
Yeah, this is exactly why your goons should not be there, because on your way back, it just gets delayed by these mines, and like right now, your goons are being damaged. Even if it's by like a small amount, it's just no damage. And getting that cannon is really nice though, but your probe count is really low right now, because you should have like twice the amount of probes. And you shouldn't be building 3 cannons at main like that. And also, you should have had more gateways, about 2 to 3 more gateways, about 3 minutes before would have been nice. And also, you should be having more observers everywhere, because I see that there's like mines here and there, so it's really difficult. And also, there's an observer at 11 o'clock, and although that is really good, but I think a zealot or a probe core being there is more effective, because your observer is just so important for detection.
Yeah, I think a lot of the questions this guy asked in his post are just gonna follow up from this, from his macro, basically. I mean, he was cutting probes early with this kind of weird build, and then he lost probes there kind of needlessly. And if you watch his Nexus all game, Nexi, I suppose, he's not constantly making probes. So I think that's like step one of his build should just be focus on like proper macro and proper production.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, you should just never stop making probes. Well, if you have about like 200, 20 probes at each expansion, then you're good enough. But yeah, you should just keep on making probes. And if it's like a 1 versus 1 map, and it really depends on your decision rather than more on macro, then maybe you should do something about like cutting probes here and there. But there is not like a real formula where you should be like cutting probes like, or how many times for like how long. It really depends on the gamer, in my opinion.
I guess we'll let Keen get his question out here. Do you think he has too many gateways for the bases he has and for the amount of probes he has?
No, I don't think so because you can definitely pull off 11 gateways, although a really good macro players will be, it'll be a little bit too many gateways, but for average players like me or like any of the TL players, I think 11 gateways is pretty good, especially this guy is not teching to like arbiters or carriers, but he is doing it right now. So I think he's overdoing it.
Yeah, something I just want to add to that is that you'll often hear people on Team Liquid be like, "Oh, you can only support 7 gateways off your main and your natural." Well, I mean, that may be great in like the pro gamer level, but if you can't keep up with your macro and you need an extra 2 gateways because you're not back there right every time the zealots pop out, then I mean do that. There's no point in trying to play at that level if you can't. You might as well like have a few extra gateways and just drop your efficiency a tiny bit if you're going to get more units out.
Yeah, definitely. Like I once had a friend who made like 2 starports, 2 factories, and like 2 barracks for some reason, and his macro was fine because he just made that many buildings, and he focused a lot on micro.
I saw a comment there. Someone wants you to comment on his replay or not his replay, his unit composition. I guess just the Dragoon to Zealot ratio.
For me, I try to go goon heavy because I just like dragoons a lot. So I would get about 2 to 3 groups of dragoons, and rest of them should be like zealots, like 2 groups of zealots. I guess about 3 to 2 ratio of dragoons to zealots.
So like here's where his main problem starts. If you just look at the supplies and the unit composition, it just seems like what he's been behind all game, and it's kind of come to a pinnacle at this point. It just Terran's army looks so big. So his main question is basically, how do I break this push? I don't know if it's even possible at this point. Maybe you can comment on it, but it seems to me like he's just fallen behind all game. Like there's no point. There's no way he could really break this. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this?
At this point, he really needs an Arbiter or a High Templar, or if he just can't really keep up with the High Templars or Arbiter, like such high techs, then he should be getting like Dark Templars here and there, so that Terran constantly has to scout while you get more expansion up. If he had like 2 or 3 Dark Templars like one at a time, then those tank numbers should definitely decrease. So because of the splash damage. So having 1 to 2 Dark Templars here and there in the middle of the map is really useful in PvT.
He also made a comment that he thought it's really hard to deal with because Terran, as he put it, is spamming turrets as he pushes forward. I don't really see that too much, but that was his comment. He said it was hard to...
I think he attacked way too early because I see that he was taking to Arbiters, and if you're taking to Arbiters, then obviously you want to wait until Arbiters come. So I don't really see why he attacked Terran, and this is a really common mistake for Protoss players because he thinks he has enough army, and he just runs in and just gets all his army dead. So that was game and he lost all his army there.
Okay, so
for myself, I'm like a pretty defensive PvT player. So I just try to delay Terran push timing as much as possible. So I like to mix in like couple Dark Templars here and there, like along the way of his pushing path, or yeah, along his pushing path. So it really delays the Terran pushing timing if you try it in your game, because yeah, it's basically like zealots in your shuttles, except Terran can see the Dark Templars.
So I guess he just needs to work on his macro, work on his. I guess he had the right strategy, but his tactics were a little off. I mean, attacking at the wrong time and just not
Yeah,
keeping up with
exactly.
his macro.
Yes. He should have just not attacked. When you should attack is when Terran is trying to push out and the tanks are uncheaped, obviously. And yeah, if you think you have a lot more and you have a lot of zealot heavy army, then you should definitely try to lower the tank army. But at that point in the replay, you shouldn't be going in because you were supposed to wait for arbiters.